So everybody had margaritas? Yes. Everybody had margaritas. I do a little bit lighter, a little bit joyful, a little bit happy. What is joy? I mean, looking at your faces, you were like, you have smiles on your faces and you're not thinking like, I'm thinking maybe I'm not even needed. Everybody knows how to work their joy. They don't need to do any learning of what it is. Now, I'm not coming to you as an expert on joy because we are all practicing joy every single day. The question is, what is joy? So there's this fellow who came to the psychiatrist and he said, I'm really, really sad and I need help how to turn the joy in my life. I need help to be a little bit happy. And the psychiatrist looked at him and he said, you know what? There is a clown, Pagliacci. He's very, very good at making people happy. So why don't you meet him and maybe he'll help you become happy. And you know what? The circus is actually in town. So go and meet Pagliacci. And the fellow looks at the psychiatrist and he said, I am Pagliacci. Meaning to say that we are all having to work on our joy. It doesn't come on its own. It's not an automatic button that we press, okay, now we're joyful, right? So how do we generate happiness? What is joy? What is Judaism telling us about joy? What is society telling us about joy? Aren't we all want to be happy? Don't we all want to be happy people, happy mothers, happy wives, right? Happy wives, happy members of the community, happy friends. We just want, you know how it is. We don't need to open a dictionary to see what happiness is. We don't need a definition for happiness. When we feel happy, we feel happy. We know we're happy. But the difficulty is that when we're not feeling happy, how do we activate that button? Where is the button to press? And if it only would be that easy. So advertisers and influencers and marketers will always tell us that in order to be happy, Sophie, we need another margarita. In order to be happy, they tell us, they convince us that we need to have more stuff. If we only have a bigger home, a nicer car, a bigger followers on Instagram, whoever has an Instagram that's active and kicking, a bigger paycheck, whatever, a bigger, a better, a something. But it's called the hedonic treadmill. It's the more we walk at it, we achieve it, then we are satisfied for some time. It only lasts for a day, a week, a month, a year. We're off onto the next thing. We become desensitized with what we have, right? Because what we have is already now a comfort zone. We're not happy anymore. That's already given. We take it for granted. Now we want the next thing. And in our chase, in our pursuit of happiness, we're running. We're trying to get more and more. The difference is, the big mistake is that joy is not pleasure. It's not pleasure. It's something completely different. So what is it? I want to tell you a story. There was a Hasidic Jew in Soviet Russia. His name was Rab Migdal Ohr. He's actually a great uncle of Mendy, my husband. And he's very famous in the Hasidic world, in the Chabad Hasidic world, and there's a lot of stories about this individual. He was in Siberia, locked for many, many years. He had a terrible life. He had a lot of difficulty. If he would be here today, he would tell me that his life was a bliss. He wouldn't see his life as a terrible life, because for him, the whole vision of life was what you make of it, not what you have. So he was in Soviet Russia, and they were not allowed to spread Yiddishkeit. They were not allowed to spread Judaism. And there's a time where people actually got locked and taken away to be in a place for spreading Judaism. He was one of them. He was for years, for 12 years, or maybe even more, in Siberia. And he tells the story as follows. He said, I was sitting down in a cell with amongst of many other people who are not necessarily Jewish, from all sorts of life, criminals up and down. And one of the things that they were not allowed to do in the cell was to play cards. They were not allowed to play cards, but they smuggled cards in. And when they smuggled cards in, they were playing it. And the guard outside, as they were playing, they were making a lot of noise. And the guards outside comes in and he said, guys, what are you doing? There's cards going on over here. I know that you have it. But he was looking and looking and looking, and he couldn't find the cards. And he left. And as he left, they took it back out, played again, had a lot of laugh, made a lot of noise. He came back in. As he coming back in, he's searching for it again. Did he find it? No. He leaves. He said, guys, I know you're playing with cards. He leaves. Long story short, Rab Mendel turns around to them after the guard leaves, and he says, what is it? I know you have cards. How do you do it? Where do you hide? How do you so savvy in hiding the cards? They said to him like this. They said, amongst us, there's a massive, one of the largest, most qualified pickpocketer sitting around us. Every time the guard comes in, he puts the pile of cards in the pocket of the guard. The guard is looking for the cards everywhere, but really, it's in his pocket. Right before he leaves the room, he manages to take it out and keep it with us. Why am I telling you this story? Because in everything that we hear, there is a lesson for us. The lesson that Rab Mendel Fittoussi was saying it amongst people when he was saying, he said, we're looking, he mentioned it for something else. I'll bring it into our story. Sometimes we're looking for happiness elsewhere. Somewhere else. We can spend our lifetime chasing things outside of ourselves, where really it's inside us. We have all the resources, all the things that we need to have in order to be happy. Yet we need to know the manual. How do we become happy? What is it? If it's not the pursuit of happiness, as if happiness is a goal, then what is it? So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think happiness or joy is a means or a goal? Is it a means for the goal, or is it a goal? Is it a destination to arrive at? What do you think?
It's not a goal.
Eve says that it's a goal.
No, it's not a goal.
It's not a goal. What do you think? It's a means for a goal? It's a means for a goal. So it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. Judaism is saying that joy, I will alternate the words joy and happiness, and I'll explain you also why. I'll give you another story before we go into what it is actually. Admor HaZaken, the Rab Shneur Zalman from Liadi, who actually wrote the book of Tanya in Hasidut, the master book of the Chabad philosophy, which is really a book about the psychology of the soul according to mysticism. He brings a metaphor in one of the pages, and he talks about a struggle between two wrestlers. So two wrestlers come to the arena and they need to fight each other. One is super qualified, super fit, super trained, super capable, and he's got all the the arsenal of his tricks are all there. He's able to succeed and win that match. However, he comes in with sadness, with the energy of low, with a low mood. And on the opposite, there is an opponent, and the opponent is not that fit, he's very little, he's not that trained, he's not that professional, but he comes in with energy of enthusiasm. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say joy, but there's a lot of self-confidence, there's a lot of energy that is positive within him into the arena. Who do you think would win that wrestle? The one who would win would be the one less trained but has a better energy within him. And the Alter Rebbe is bringing it into our life in a way of explaining that sometimes we can be very, very trained, and how we can see ourselves. Some days we know how to raise our children, we know how to do things very well, we know we figured it all out. We have great days at work, we know how to do the job perfectly, but if we are in a bad mood, if we are unhappy, if someone really ticked us off before, and we brought that energy into our surrounding, we will have an effect on our surrounding, and whatever we want to achieve will just not be as good as we would like it, or as good as we would be able to carry on if we come with the right positive attitude. So what is it really? Joy is a state of mind. Joy is an emotional state that starts from the mind. If we're looking at the word happiness in English, it comes from the word ha, which is chance. things happen by chance, right? So if things happens to me, if I'll get the raise, if I'll have whatever, if the kids will listen to me on the first time I'm calling them, if my husband will, I don't know, if, then I will be happy. Which means to say, I'm leaving it to the externalities to affect me. I'm not in control of my state of being. I'm not in control of my state of mind. Judaism says, no, it's the other way around. Yes, externality has room for you, but joy stems from within. Joy comes from the mind. The Hasidic masters say that the joy, in order to achieve it, you need to work really, really hard. Because, like I'm sure we all know, there are times that life just happens. Life happens, and it meets at the different scenarios and different times. And if I tell you now, I'm not in the greatest of mood, and you're going to come to me and you say, come on, get out of it, you'll get me even more upset. Because what do you mean just get out of it? I'm not, right? Sometimes we even like to sit in it and wallow, right? Like we're to sit in it. And it is also welcomed by Judaism, because if we designate a very specific time, which is a few minutes, to, so to speak, feel our sadness or feel our disappointment or feel whatever it is that we feel, we are allowed by Judaism, we are allowed to give it the space that it needs. But if, let's say, the kids are coming home and you just had a phone call or a text message that came in and you are upside down with your emotions, you can't tell the kids, well, too bad, I'm in my own world. However, you're supposed to do it the other way around. You're supposed to tell your emotions, now do that, right? You're supposed to tell your emotions, hold on a second, I will see to you, but later. Because right now, I need to be the best mother I can be for my children. Or if it's the husband, we also need to do that for them. So where are we? We are there. We have to look after ourselves. We have to make room for the negative thoughts and the negative feeling. We have to process it because we can't just push it away. But we have to, according to Judaism, we have to designate a time that we have a beginning and an end for it. We work it out and we put it to the side. We don't let it linger. We don't let it sap in and eat every good piece of our day. Okay. So that leads me to the question of, is it a choice? Meaning to say, is joy a recommendation, a right? Let's say, I have a right to reserve, I have the reserve to, I have the right to reserve my, the right to respond, or I have the right. Is it a choice, a right, a recommendation, or joy is meant to be something that we are obliged to do, obliged to be? Are we instructed to be happy according to Judaism? Is there a mitzvah to be besimcha?
Yes.
Who said yes? Okay, so how can we instruct? There's a mitzvah to be besimcha? Mitzvah gdola liot besimcha. Mitzvah gedola. You know that one? Liot besimcha. Okay. So what do we say? We say mitzvah gdola. It's a great mitzvah. It's a great command to be a great commandment to be besimcha hamid. How can God instruct me to feel? How can I be instructed to feel? So in order to understand it, we have to understand, first of all, the way we work. How do we work? So if I go into a car, I need to know how the car works, right? How the car works? The car works that there's a wheel, there's wheels, and I need to know where to fill up the tank. If it's electric, I need to know where I can charge it, right? I need to know where the blinkers are, where the gas. I need to know basic things in order to use the car to the best of the ability of the car, to utilize it to the best, to the fullest. The same thing we are told by our Torah in many places, that in order for us to govern ourselves and to generate joy, we have to understand how we work. And how we work means, if you take another margarita, you'll get warmer. For sure. The Torah tells us that we have We are designed, our soul is designed in a way that has everything that it needs to fortify all challenges that come our way. No one promises us that it's easy. So what I'm saying here, it's not impossible, it's possible, but it does require work. That's why we say it's not a choice. It's not something that is we leave to chance. It's not by itself. So what do we think? We have our soul, and our soul resides in our body. And the soul has what we call kochot hanefesh. And I still don't know how to translate it perfectly in English, but I will try. Kochot hanefesh means the forces, the power within our souls. But it's not the soul that we're, soul, something spiritual. It's anything that drives us, anything that make us tick. And it divides to our intellect and to our emotions. And you're saying to me, 1 second, but I feel first. And then I think about what I feel. First, I'm feeling. And we're not going to go into a whole class about it, but really our emotions stem from our mind. Our intellect is what we have, our thought. And that's why the word besimcha, which is a Hebrew word, to be in a state of happiness, is not what we call happiness in English. Because happiness in English is happiness. It's by chance. It happens. It's only if something external. But the word besimcha, the letter interchange. The interchange with the word machshava, which is a thought. So in Judaism, we are taught that joy, happiness is really a thought. A thought. Any little change, any big change in the world starts with a thought. A thought is a decision we make, a conscious decision, a mental decision. So it's a state of mind. So if things happen to us, they happen to us, right? They happen to us. Where do we keep God relevant in what's happening to us? How is God relevant in what's happening to us? So whatever is happening to us is we have in psychology they say you have 50% chance of being happy because of your genetics. So if your mom is happy, I mean, if both mother and father are happy, you're good. Got 50% going for you. If only mom's happy and dad is less, 25%. But 50% is your genetics. 10% is the externalities that happen to you. 40%, it's not what happens to you, but how do we respond to what happens to you? So we have, according to psychology, 40% chance of us turning our circumstances and our relationship with what's happening to us and activating joy. Now you tell me, come on, if things happen to me, what do you mean joy? How can I got stuck in traffic, I'm late for the kid, something happened, my machine broke, a million things that happened to us. What do you mean I can make it, I can turn joy? How can I be joyful in such circumstances? And this is the light ones, right? There's much more severe ones, there's much more awful ones. We can see it all around. So how do we work that? So just like we turned around the word machshava, besimcha to machshava, which is the same letters, so too when we look at the word chance in Hebrew, it's called mikre. And if we change the words, if we change the letters of the word mikre, it is rak mehashem. Anything that perceived on our physical eye as a chance is actually very precisely ordained and happened to us, designed to us by God. And how do we do that? How do we think that when things happen to us, what do we do? The big mistake is that we're going, and what do? We are filling ourselves with pleasure because we want to be happy. So we're going for pleasure and we're hoping to derive happiness from the pleasure that we're feeding ourselves. But the big mistake is that joy is not pleasure, just like pain is not suffering. Joy is not pleasure. What is joy? Joy and suffering is emotional states that start in the mind. They start in our mind, in the state of mind. It's the way we perceive things. So what's the difference between pain and suffering? Just for the example, to give you the understanding of what we're talking about. Pain. Anybody has Lego in the house? Lego? Lego. Okay, so you know exactly what I'm going to say now. When we woke in the middle of the night, the baby cried, or we got up from the couch because we need to pick up the phone, and we're barefoot and we woke and we stepped on the Lego. Anybody understand that pain? That's pain. That is pain. It's a sensation in our body, something physical. We don't choose it. We feel it. It's automatic, right? That's pain. Suffering is I'm standing there in the middle of my living room on that piece of Lego and we say, why does it always happen to me? That's suffering. It's the meaning that I'm attaching to that experience. So automatically, suffering is not physical. Suffering is the way I'm interpreting my pain. So joy has got nothing to do with pleasure. Pleasure is something sensational. If I felt pain of hunger, of thirst, of pain on a physical level, that's pain. Suffering is something else. Suffering is the way I process my pain. Joy and pleasure are two separate things. That's why you can have people that go through pain, but still can find joy in it. You can all know that marathon runners are in extreme pain, but they are very joyful. They're very happy. Their state of mind is elated. That has nothing to do with joy. A mother who gave birth went through a tremendous pain if she didn't have a epidural. Amazing, right? Great pain. However, she's so joyful. So pleasure has got nothing to do with joy. And us, with the pursuit of a happiness, we're trying to feed ourselves with so much pleasure, we're trying to close that vacuum. Judaism tells us, you're misreading the whole thing. It's all here. It's all here. And to do that is super hard. And that's why when I said kochot nefesh, the forces of our soul, the forces of our being, we really have to harness it. But that's not something that's impossible. It's practice just like any muscle that we practice muscle. The more we do it, the more it becomes a second nature to us. Okay? Look at what just happened last week. There were two brothers who were shot in Hawara. What did the mother and the family do at the Levaya? They said the chapter of Tehillim, Mizmor Todah. They were saying thank you to God because there is a mitzvah to give thanks on what happens bad, just like on what happens to you that is good, to be grateful. Now, the ta'atzumot nefesh, the strength of the heart of that woman to do that, and she was giving suits to the soldiers. She was sitting Shiva, and all she was thinking in her pain, and that was not pain physical, that was pain here. What was she able to do? To look outside of herself and to think, now there'll be Shiva, people will sit down, there's going to be a lot of soldiers and a lot of army forces that will come here, and she's looking beyond herself to find people to give them soup. So she's making sure that the soup is being delivered. That is an incredible level of the ability to see that everything's from God. And that's where emunah and bitachon comes. Emunah and bitachon are two fundamental principles in Judaism that tell us that emunah is understanding and believing that everything that happens to us is from God. And everything that happens to us is really a little piece of a puzzle of a bigger picture that we don't tend to see. We don't tend to see the picture. We see a puzzle. And we have it out of context. That's why it's hard for us to relate to it. But if it's a good piece of puzzle, fantastic, I'm happy, welcome. More pieces. But if it's a hard piece, if it's something that is hard to swallow, then I don't see it within context, and I have to bring in the faith. And the emunah brings us into the realization that everything comes from God, and everything is for me to achieve. Everything is exactly and accurately designed for me to achieve my purpose, my goal in this world, in this physical world. Now, it's an amazing idea that if it's foreign to us, you might think like, Come on, give me a break. Give me a break. You can't tell me now that this disaster that happened to me or that thing happened to me, it's part of a bigger plan. But Judaism and mysticism says it is part of a bigger plan. The higher level of it. Now, when I say bigger plan, there is a bigger plan, and then there's a bigger plan, which means to say there's a bigger plan in the world, right? But okay, the world. Then there is the world of Jewish people, and then there's the world of our family and our world, our individual world, each and every single one life. And then there is my world, just me as an individual, as a mother, as a woman, as a Jewish woman, as a wife, as someone who has a role in whatever work that she's doing, in whatever service that she is there. And the higher level of emunah is much harder to achieve. As Jewish women, we have emunah within us. It's ingrained within us. We just finished Esther from Purim. What a woman. And we're going to Pesach. Less than a month ago, did you start cleaning or you're going away somewhere? Okay, we're not going to focus on that. Then the woman who led us in the ability to, the fortitude of faith and trust in God, and in the ability of the Jewish people to come out of Egypt was Miriam. A woman. What a woman. And what did she have? She had the faith, she had the vision, she had the trust. And with that, she changed the whole course of our nation. That's a separate class on its own. But what a remarkable woman. So within us, we have it. It's ingrained with us. What do we have to do? We have to tap into it. We have to remind ourselves. We have to practice it again and again and again and again. Every time we get stuck in traffic, every time things turn sour, every time events turn pear-shaped, we have to tap into it and say, this is exactly what had to happen. This exact. And if I'm late 30 minutes, not because I left late, because I left, but there was traffic, because someone did something, it's exactly. There's so many stories of the people who are being saved from the Twin Tower crashing because he missed his flight, and he was so upset that he missed his flight, but his life saved. This is where trust is. Trust in God is a higher level of faith. What is it? It's knowing that everything is for the good. Now, if we are lucky, we get to see it. Most of the time, we don't get to see it. Most of the time, we have to lean on. We have to lean on that level of trust, which is so hard to master. Because faith, yeah, I believe in God. I believe that everything happens from God. It's easier. Trust that it's really for the good. Show me the good in this. I don't see good. So this is a mental strength that we are asked, we are required to do it. So if Amit is saying that there is a powerful thing in having the mitzvah of being in joy, it's not a specific mitzvah where we are instructed, this is where you are meant to be in joy. It's a fundamental tool in achieving our ability to live a full life, to live after a full to grasp or to attain our full potential of ourselves, and to live a purposeful life through joy. Because without joy, it's like doing things like this with no life. But when we inject joy, everything has a breakthrough. There is a pasuk, it's called Simcha poretzet geder. Joy breaks all boundaries, all barriers. It's not only outside barriers. It's not physical barriers. It's anything. It's an artist. It's a writer. You want to write a post and put it out wherever you need to write it, and you have a blockage. Turn music on. Do something of joyful. It will bring forth that the boundaries will break. That's what joy is. So what is joy in Judaism? Joy is a tool. Is it a necessary tool? Absolutely. Absolutely. We are obliged to be besimcha. No one is promising us that it's easy. Not at all. There's a pasuk, the lyrics of our life is the book of Tehillim. And the book of Tehillim says, Ivdu et Hashem besimcha. Ivdu et Hashem besimcha, if we diagram the sentence, is serve God with joy. What does it mean, serve God with joy? Do I serve God on a daily basis? Absolutely. Even if you're not intentional, you serve God. The fact that you're showing up to your responsibilities as yourselves, you are serving God. When you're smiling to your children, you're serving God. When you're cooking that meal, you're serving God. If you're doing it joyfully, you're serving God joyfully. And your energy is trickling into everything around you. When you meet someone who's happy, you want to be next to them. When you meet somebody who's like, you're like, leave me alone, I don't need it, I have my own. Right? We are naturally attracted to people who have positive energy. And when the kids are coming from school, if you pick them up and I don't know what, you ran out and you're in the car and waiting outside in this traffic, you see them from far, put that smile. And that's why, and I know we're short on time, but that's why when things are hard for us to activate from within, because it's an inner work, it's possible, but it's much harder to work on our mind. It's harder. So we have to have the external help. And the external help is what we do externally to help it bring in and trickle inside. What is it? A song, music, a dance. You know, the picture of a Hasid in the galleries. They're always dancing. What is this? Are Hasidim always happy? No. But what do they know? What realization do they know? What life are they trying to lead? It's one foot on the ground. We're in the physical world. There's a world, what we see. And then there is a leg in the air. A leg in the air is a constant rising above the physical circumstances, above what is just coming my way. It's my relationship with how I interpret it, what meaning I'm attaching to it, i.e. Viktor Frankl, the logotherapy. The idea of meaning, what meaning are we assigning to what comes our way? So to conclude, serve God with joy. Meaning to say, serve is not a choice. It's an imperative. You have to serve. And you know what? If you don't understand God, serve a higher cause. That's already good enough. Start from there. Focus on the good in your life. Be grateful for the good in your life and build on that. See the good in your life and build on it. And once you do that, you do it joyfully. So you will spread joy around you. You'll be a light because we were designed to live a purposeful life. We were designed to spread the light. We were designed to be light. We were designed to, as human beings, to have a choice. We're not animals. We have a choice. And that choice needs to be activated. And it's hard, but it's doable. And to not focus only on ourselves, but on outside of ourselves. Because on outside of ourselves, when we are focusing on someone outside of ourselves, it brings us joy. If we're feeling a little bit this, just go outwards. I'm going to conclude with a story that didn't happen, but you'll understand the point. A person died, went up to heaven, and entered in the gates. The guy in the door says to him, well, you really belong in paradise, in Gan Eden, in heaven, but in order to come to heaven, you need to pass through hell. So we're just going to pass through hell, and you'll see how it's going. He's looking into hell through the door. It's really hot in there. There's a long table. They're all sitting down. A lot of people dressed beautifully, gorgeous, very enticing. He's looking in. They all have lavish food, lavish plates, lavish service, lavish everything. And they all have massive forks that they need to feed themselves with those forks. And they're all finding it extremely challenging. Each one of them trying to feed himself with a big fork. But you could imagine, food flying everywhere. They're not able to feed themselves. It's just terrible. It's just hell. They're not enjoying themselves. He passes by, he goes through, and he moves into Gan Eden, into heaven. He goes in. It's exactly the same sight. A long table, lavish food, people are all in white, sitting down. Looks amazing. Big forks. What's the difference there? All the people are taking the fork and they can't feed themselves, but each one feeds the other. That's heaven. If we keep on being focused on what we want, what we need, just self-centered about our needs and our wants and us, life will be hell, because whenever we reach, we will still not going to be enough. We'll still want more. That's a life of hell. It's never enough. It's not tenable. But if we want to be focused on other people's needs, when we look outside of ourselves and we help others, we live in a heavenly world. So let's pass the parcel with our blessings that we got from God. Whatever it is, physical blessings, energy blessings, knowledge blessings, each one has a whole arsenal of blessings. And if we look in to see what blessings we have, we will be amazed of how blessed we are. And that alone should generate joy. So let's live life purposely and joyfully, because we can. But it's a choice that we make. So good luck to us. I know it sounds very simple. It's a simple formula, but it's very hard to implement. And if you need an external help, turn the music on and dance. That.